I'm going to welcome Irene and turn it over to her.
Yeah, so I mean, COVID has definitely thrown us for a loop. We've had a lot of interesting things happen over the past couple of months. So just a general overview, the Hershey Pantry Restaurant Group, owned and operated by my family. The Hershey Pantry is a full service restaurant. We do have indoor and outdoor seating, desserts, etc. is a bakery, and the Pantry Cafe is a cafe and a museum in downtown Hershey, Pennsylvania. And then we also have From Chocolate with Love, which was designed, and basically Maureen helped me develop that entire thing in college through the U Imagine Center and through the entrepreneurship classes that I had with her. So I'm just going to go through basically what life was like since COVID started and how we kind of adapted. The Hershey Pantry, we had to go through a lot of changes. So that was the one thing that was immediately affected. Obviously, Pennsylvania went down to takeout only. That was very interesting for us. We kind of recovered our sales and everything through Easter and Mother's Day. So what we actually did in order to kind of pivot and not rely on indoor seating for our sales during that time of year, we actually put together a menu for pre-made, reheatable Easter meals and Mother's Day meals. We had over 1,000 meals for Easter, which was pretty crazy, but we were very fortunate to be able to market that. And at the time, a lot of people were at home by themselves. They weren't celebrating with their families. So it was something that our community really appreciated, and it really helped us out. And because we had such success with that, we had decided to go on with Mother's Day and do the same kind of thing. That was also helped us gain back the sales that we didn't really have in between Easter and Mother's Day that we normally would have. And the tough, difficult decision that we had to make during those times were to lay off almost all of our staff until we could reopen at a normal capacity. And we made those decisions based off of a lot of, looking at data, looking at our hourly sales, looking at, how much each person makes and what our payroll is going to cost versus our sales. And that's just how you have to do business basically in order to stay afloat. So until we could reopen indoors, that's how we basically survived those couple of months. And that was very interesting. And then on top of that, we did get the PPP funding through the government to bring back our employees. So we brought back people. We started to open indoor dining again. And just navigating the whole PPP loan process was pretty interesting, because the way that they did it was they rolled it out, but they didn't really have the rules written for it yet. So we kind of had to bring back people based on what the new rules are, because they only give you X amount of money for X amount of people. So that was very interesting, and that played a big part into us reopening as well. So then once we were able to reopen our indoor and outdoor dining, we brought back staff. Some staff decided not to come back due to safety concerns, financial reasons. There was a lot of reasons. Childcare, huge one. People are homeschooling their kids. They have nobody to watch their kids. They can't come back. Another one, and some people were willing to we figured it out with them. They were able to split it up, but that was a huge obstacle. It still is, because schools are open and they're closed, and that's just been very difficult to navigate. So then when we reopened our outdoor dining again, or indoor dining, we actually, because we had limited capacity now, we had to decide how we were going to actually make money this summer, because usually we're pretty tourist dependent because of Hershey Park. So we actually used our yard and our garages, and we turned our garages into a covered seating area there. We painted it, renovated them. And then we have a whole courtyard area that we created in the yard that has a mocktail bar and everything. And people actually really liked it, and they actually asked to sit out there now. So we're never going to get rid of it, because they prefer to sit out there. And that was just something, a lot of hard work went into that. And just, trying to get as many seats as you can while following CDC guidelines, spreading out, being careful, making sure your staff is safe. So that's definitely something out of COVID, I think, that forced us to be creative. But we overall, we're going to keep that moving forward. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of that just because we added so many seats. People really like the extra seating outside. They want to sit outside in the summer anyways. So that helped us out in that way. One of the difficult things with the Hershey Pantry that we had to do was we decided to close dinners permanently. So we're mostly a breakfast restaurant, and we're known for our breakfast. And that was a tough decision because for years, we were breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's what we were. And for years, we were actually closed on Sundays. So rather than doing dinner, we had made the difficult decision to close dinner and then open up on Sundays, breakfast all day and lunch. And the way that we just, decided to do that was actually by doing a lot of data analysis that I did. That's, it's all things that Irene has taught me to do, think critically, use your tools to make an educated decision on these things, because you can't just wing it. You have to have things to back up your decisions here. So we looked at our payroll over the course of a couple weeks when we did get reopened. And we also looked at our hourly sales and the breakdown. We weren't really as profitable in the evenings, and a lot of our evening staff, they tended to be higher paid. So we just had to, make that decision to keep afloat essentially and recover all the lost income that we had. And we were busy this summer. So despite not having tourism, our local community helped us out a lot. They supported us a lot. And I think breakfast all day actually helped us in the long run. So yeah, that was hard. But overall, a good decision for us because we decided to stick to our strengths and, do the breakfast all day because that's what everybody loves. And I think, moving forward, we're definitely planning on keeping that schedule and that plan. And our staff has been very, accommodating with us and everything too, and understanding that we're going through a lot on a daily basis. And now going into the holidays, things are uneasy again. We're selling Thanksgiving dinners. So that's, selling these prepared family meals for all the major holidays is something I think we're going to always continue to do because, it takes away the stress from people to prepare these meals. And it also helps us get a little cash flow heading into uncertain times. So we have almost 500 orders already for Thanksgiving meals, which is awesome because we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks here. So that was the Hershey Pantry. And then going to Desserts Etc., which has From Chocolate with Love that I did with Maureen in college. So Desserts Etc. is a bakery. We also have coffee and lattes and all that kind of stuff too. So we never closed at the bakery since we're already grab and go. The very interesting part of this, as much as the Hershey Pantry struggled and we had to be very creative with the Hershey Pantry to keep afloat, people need sugar and caffeine, and we've been busier than ever. So there's really no rhyme or reason we didn't do anything that different there, but we've been extremely busy. So that one was fortunately an easy one for us. We actually had to hire an entire second staff of bakers to come in and bake more because we couldn't keep up with the demand. And everybody was working crazy hours and it was just not working. So that was another thing. We looked at our sales and our payroll and everything. And we're okay, we gotta make a move here because we're kind of limiting ourselves with the staff we have. So another thing that I use data for in order to make that decision. And then From Chocolate with Love. So that's actually something our bakery created as a fudge bomb. So it's a chocolate lava base with, chocolate cookie crust with a chocolate lava on top and opera fudge covered in chocolate. And they come in a bunch of different flavors. If you go to fudgebombs.com, you can check it out. That's actually what I worked on with Maureen to develop, and it became a huge thing, and it's a full business by itself now. I did a promotional, a deal essentially through Local Flavor I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can like buy deals online for them, and it's like a coupon. They were like, well, we're probably not going to sell out very quickly because nobody really knows about it, and but then they sold out super quickly, and we got slammed with orders. So I actually have to hold off on promoting it because our bakery can't keep up with it right now, which is like, I guess, a good problem, but we definitely need to work on like hiring more staff specifically for From Chocolate with Love come January. So that's like something, moving forward, that's our future opportunity, I think, is to expand on From Chocolate with Love, because there's so much potential, there's so much demand for it that I can't, like, the only thing holding us back right now is our staff. So we just need to hire more people to run with that. And I think that would be like our next business development, essentially. Yeah, so that's the desserts, etc., and the From Chocolate with Love situation. And then the Pantry Cafe, this is located in the Hershey Store Museum in downtown Hershey. So when COVID hit and we got closed down in Pennsylvania, down to takeout, the museum actually decided to close their museum down along with our business in the museum to do a full sanitation of the building. So that was not something that we could control. We just kind of had to go with it. And that is extremely tourist dependent because locals don't really go to the museum. And we didn't know when we were going to be reopened or how we would reopen because we don't have that tourism. And the cafe was actually kind of a combination of desserts, etc., and the Hershey Pantry. So we had like those bakery desserts, and we also had sit down seating for breakfast and lunch. But when we did reopen in July, we had to focus on keeping our most valuable staff where they needed to be, because we had trouble keeping staff. We had trouble just staffing the two businesses that we already had. So reopening the cafe was really difficult for us. We had to just go down to like a limited service. We didn't offer sit down seating anymore. And our sales there, just because of how specific it is for tourism, we actually decided to not renew our lease there. So that was another thing. Like we had to sit down and look at the numbers and be like, this is not, we don't know how long COVID's going to go on, and we can't hang on to this business if it's not going to be profitable. So that was a really difficult decision, and we were sad to see it go, but we also need to focus all of our time and resources into our businesses that are thriving and have more potential, like From Chocolate with Love, keeping our good employees at desserts, etc., and keeping our good employees at the Hershey Pantry while we're busy. So yeah, just a lot of analysis with that and making that decision. And I know specifically, like, we have a lot of decisions to make, obviously, on a daily basis. So with all of those businesses combined, like, something could change tomorrow, which is it's the big thing that's been the past couple of months. There's a lot of uncertainty, but I feel like we had a lot of creativity with the pre-made meals. In general, like, that was what saved us at the pantry, and then we were busy in the summer. So moving forward, we're definitely going to keep the changes that we had to make for COVID. And I don't think, interestingly enough, I don't think we would have made those changes if we weren't put into this situation. So in some ways it was like a little bit of a good thing. It made us stretch our box of thinking, and definitely, like, my experience at Ursinus, especially with Maureen, I think was the most valuable thing. And just thinking critically and thinking outside the box, just taking the business model that you currently have and looking how you can expand it to be profitable. Like, that's just always how you have to think, is how can we be profitable? How can we make the numbers work? So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me open up the floor to Irene.
Like, you talked a lot about having to lay off workers. Was there anything like that you did specifically to help those workers in the process of laying them off, just because like during COVID time it's hard to get a job, or was there not really anything you could do? Because I know it was like mainly out of your hands, but
Yeah. So we definitely, we laid them off essentially because servers in Pennsylvania make $2.83 an hour. So going on unemployment for them was the best option, especially with the additional bonuses that they were getting through unemployment. So keeping them on unemployment was like the best option because we really couldn't afford to pay them to be off because we had, I mean, when we got shut down, we had $50,000 worth of food that was going to go bad. So we couldn't really help them in that way. But we did everything we could to let them know, make sure that they knew that they had a job to come back to when we were ready to have them come back. And then when we got the PPP funding, which is payroll protection program, they actually gave us money to bring our employees back and pay them to work. So that's when we brought everybody back, get them back to work, give them a salary that's above $283. I think we paid our servers like $10 to $15 an hour because they obviously are not as busy as they were. So we brought them all back. We made sure that they knew that they had a full-time job, they had work to come back to, and we did everything we could to keep them busy. So it was really difficult and it was hard. I mean, I was even, laid off. So it was just like survival mode, really. I mean, we had to rely on those government agencies to help out with that.
I have a question.
Okay.
So like, I understand that you like created like this new like, I guess, business idea to like adapt to like what COVID had done. But it was just like a team effort. Like, did you work with your like family to develop this, or was this like one idea, or did you you model it off of like a different business?
So we had in the past, we had done in a much smaller scale, done pre-made meal. Is that what you're talking about, like the meals? Yeah. So on a much smaller scale, we had done the pre-made meals for Thanksgiving, and I'm talking like we would cap it at 200 meals. Okay. So we knew kind of how we were going to do it. We had no idea how many orders we were going to get or how we were going to pull it off. So taking that thing that was kind of successful in the past that we didn't expand on, we knew that was going to be something that we could rely on to some degree. We just didn't know how successful it was going to be. So trying it for Easter and seeing like how many orders we got was like, okay, we got to keep doing this because at least for now, this is what people want. Like they want to be able to just go pick up their Easter dinner, go home and heat it up. A lot of people too, because they aren't celebrating with their families, they were picking up individual meals and dropping them off at their family members' houses because they didn't want to have the gatherings. So I would definitely say took something we were doing in the past and combined like all of our heads together, think like, okay, how can we make money? What do we know? How do we know how to make money that's not serving people inside? And that was like the main thing that came up kind of.
This is not related to COVID, but what made you want to start making like your fudge bombs?
So I worked with the bakery. This was years and years ago because this was way before I even knew Maureen. To have the fudge bomb created because I love chocolate and we kind of came up with this like really cool dessert, something new, something different that was unique to our bakery. And then when I was in college, I met up with Maureen and I kind of expanded on the idea, like how wouldn't it be neat if I could sell these online and send them to people? Like I love chocolate. I love getting like cherries, berries is like the best thing to get in the mail. So kind of like that, but more chocolatey. So that's like where the idea started. And then Maureen helped me like build off of that idea. Like, okay, you have this product that you love and you're passionate about. How can we really focus in on it and how can we make it happen? So right now and I had a lot of test shipments happen while I was working under Maureen. So just figuring out the packaging to finding a packaging company when I had the packaging figured out that worked, to website developers and everything that all happened while I was with Maureen. So getting it to that point, there was a lot of steps. I had no idea it was going to transform into this really in the beginning, but she definitely helped me think like, okay, how exactly do you want this to happen? And it really just all starts with taking something that you really like and creating a business around it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
So like whenever I think of developing an idea, there is like a part of me that is a little intimidated by like tackling a big project. So like in general, how do you tackle like big projects, or how did you initially tackle your business idea?
Honestly, I had the same reservations, and that's definitely something that Maureen is very good at helping you hurdle over, because it's just, making it realistic and making it possible is like the biggest thing, and taking an idea and running with it. Obviously, like financials, that's a huge concern. Like, how do I find the money for the startup costs, all that, fortunately for me, I had a business that I could, like desserts, etc., could partially fund the startup cost of that. But if it's something you're really passionate about, you just have to take it in steps. So like, take the money that you have, do what you can with the money you have to get it up and running, but just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect to get started. Get your idea going, and whatever means you can start it. You can always expand on it. You can always make it better. You can always try new things with it. But starting is definitely the biggest hurdle. And I think once you get started, it's just snowballs from there. Like, you have to just, like, I worked another job before I came and worked for the Hess Pantry restaurant group. And, thinking about my ideas for it and constantly being like, hey, how can I make this work? How can I make my work working for Chocolate with Love? So it just takes time. You just have to get it started. Even if it's not going to start out to be your full-time thing, like do it on the side. But if it's passionate about it, it's worth it. So that's my advice.
Thanks.
So Rene's an inspiration. So how many years ago, Rene, were you sitting in their seats?
It felt like yesterday.
Right.
I graduated December 2017. So I graduated early. I technically graduated May 2018. But I started working January 2018. I worked in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I wrote leases and managed tenants. So that was definitely not my dream job, but I learned a lot from it. And I think it was valuable to see, like, this isn't my passion, but I have time to do my passion on the side. And I'm also learning how to run a business. So I don't know. I think just in general, it doesn't have to start out perfect, but as long as you start, have the vision, that's definitely what you need to follow.